It's time to face the bullshit!
What fun and frolics have we got lined up for today then, chaps?
Stand by for action. And now for something completely different.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hello and welcome to the Dan Berry Show with me, Dan Berry, Chris Miles,
hello,
and Stewart Rice.
hello.
Okay, and today we're going to be talking about various number of few things. First point of address is violence in films. Is it a good thing or is it a bad thing? Because I was watching The Equalizer the other day, the Denzel Washington movie, and basically there are bits in that. There's that bit in the film right at the end with Denzel Washington. He's in the DIY centre, and he's killing people in very sort of elaborate ways. Like there's a scene in particular which tends to stand out with a drill, and he's drilling the guy's head in, and you can actually see there's blood on the drill. And there's another scene later in the film where he actually takes a hammer, but you don't actually see him beat the guy up. But he puts the hammer back and he cleans it, so it's pretty evident to see what he's done. But the point I'm making, leading up to this, is there a limit where you watch films, violent films, and sort of think, wait a minute, it's going a bit too far. I'll leave that open to you guys.
Well, it's kind of interesting because violence is bad, full stop. And the thing is, when it comes to films, you want to make the violence as realistic as you can, because in today's world with gang and violence, it's weird because I'm thinking about Tarantino films. The amount of violence he does in his films is really over the top.
Yeah.
But that's his sort of
Problem is, that's Tarantino.
Yeah.
So it is. But different filmmakers have their own different styles of filming. Yeah, that's to put it. And yeah.
But I think the point is, without violence, I'm trying to say is, even though you're trying to show violence in a film, you can't really promote violence because that's a bad thing. But you have to show violence to basically tell a story in a narrative sort of way.
It's interesting that you mentioned Tarantino because I don't know if you guys have watched the Channel 4 interview where he was doing Django Unchained, and he was talking to this journalist, and he talks about violence. He brought up the subject of violence in his films, and Tarantino basically cuts him off completely. He's like, "Don't ask me a question like that. I refuse your question," basically. And he was basically saying there are two types of violence in all of his films. Like there's a part of violence which is basically about the historical violence, and then there's the cathartic violence about people paying back blood for blood. I mean, take Django Unchained for instance.
Yeah.
You've got the guy Django, and he's getting back his wife, and it's the cathartic violence, and that is Django paying back blood for blood. So yeah, I suppose thinking about it in the context of which you put it, violence is bad, full stop. But if it's in a film, yeah, is it kind of acceptable because we know it's make believe, or
they can technically go with, and this is probably deviating off films, but they have made a film, Family Guy. Like in a film, that would be a totally unacceptable series. It would never be made. No one would take it.
It was made with actual actors.
Ted, for instance. The reason why it was made as a film was one, because it's, like I said, from the father, and he'll make anything, he doesn't care. If no one wants to make it, he'll make it. And second of all, it's because it's an animated person, I think.
So you think because it's animated, you think because it's animated and it's a cartoon, it's so obvious to the viewer that what they're seeing is fantasy, therefore it can't possibly be taken seriously.
Yeah, I mean, it could be taken seriously. I mean, that's obviously what the problem is. That's why
people take it too seriously.
Yeah, exactly.
And they overthink and think, hold on a minute, this is, especially if you're doing like a live film, like take Equalizer for instance. Real actors, it's a real life scenario, even though it's not real life, it's a movie, it's a fantasy, but even though it looks realistic, and
it's not.
Yeah, because it's very different. Like, say, it's interesting when you mentioned Family Guy because it's a cartoon, but it's very, and you watch cartoon violence, like Tom and Jerry cartoon, or Looney Tunes, and people get banged over the head with massive mallets and chainsaws and things. And then in real life, and then you see that being performed in real life, maybe it's very obvious to a child or a younger viewer when watching cartoon violence and real violence between what is real and what's made up.
Future.
Yeah.
So it's actually, just remember it like that.
Yeah, but in TV they call it Aston. So
Yeah, just remember it like that, and you will always remember what an Aston is.
No matter how fast he ran, he could not escape the demon, but he would not let his soul be taken today.
Next point of call, life ambitions. So it's the same really with everything. Like when you're a little kid, people ask you what you want to be when you grow up, and they say elaborate things which are probably never going to happen, like I want to be an astronaut, or I want to be a cowboy, or some crap like that.
In the United States.
Yeah, exactly. So my question to you guys is, did you have any lifelong ambitions? Like, did you have a thing where you sort of go, I want to be that, or no, I want to be this?
all the time. I mean, as a kid, I had such an imaginative mind with what I wanted to do in the future or for a career. Like, for example, I wanted to be a doctor at first, and then about a month later, or like a year later, or something like that, I wanted to be a police officer. So I had, like I said, I had such a weird mind as a kid. But ever since I started watching films, since we like to work in the film industry, obviously.
Yeah.
And after watching so many good films and getting inspired by them, I think I've now found my one big life ambition, and that's to become a very good film editor and to work in the filming industry.
Yeah, but when you were younger, what did you want to? Obviously, before you came to this, I want to be a film editor. What did you want to be before you were a film editor? Like, what did you want to be at 4 years old, for instance, or what did you want to be at 5 years old?
So, like at that sort of age, I was going to say a doctor, purely because of the amount of money they make actually, because they earn a lot of money actually.
They do, yeah.
So,
Although they say being a doctor is the sort of best and worst job in the world.
yeah, but the thing was, as a kid, I wasn't in. But it's funny because as a kid, you never really thought about the details of the job. You were like, oh, you'll earn a lot of money, then I guess I'll have the job. But you got to think of the doubts or the disadvantages of being a doctor. So, yeah, as a kid, I always thought about money. That was the problem. So, what about you?
Yeah, what about? I was going to say.
I could give you a list of stuff I wanted to be.
Give me one. Give me
one.
Give me your favourite.
Meteorologist. You can actually say the word.
You want to be a meteorologist?
Meteorologist.
You want to be a meteorologist at 6 years old?
Quite literally, I went from volcanologist at 6 years old. Wanted to do stuff with volcanoes. Considering I was 6, that's quite young to be thinking about wanting to do work with volcanoes. However, I've always been scared of volcanoes, so I don't know why. I've always been terrified of volcanoes, so I don't know why I wanted to be working on the side of one.
Mountain is coming for you. Sorry.
But yeah, I think I went from volcanology to science. I think I've always been stuck around science. It's always been volcanology, meteorology, biology, physics, and then straight into filmmaking. Because why not? I think.
Yeah, because. Okay, so now.
Because logic.
Judging from the then and now.
Yeah.
What do you want to be now?
Now, I'd say, and it's really sweeping, but it's generally anything in film. Any sort of thing in film, apart from director or producer, or anything to do with paperwork. I can't do paperwork to save my life. So, it's like, probably editor is what I want to be, but anything in terms of film. There was an officer who did that. It was hilarious. An officer went to a criminal and he actually managed to capture him by shouting Marco, and the guy replied, Polo. Not even kidding, it's the most stupid criminal in the world. It's the ones to think. The ones to think that.
From the university?
Yeah.
Right, yeah. I thought he did something like this, like I heard something like that. And he moved his feet together as well.
What's that? T-Rex.
This is going to be in the outtakes.
I'm so glad that's recording.
Just a T-Rex.
That's going to be in the outtakes.
See, when you're unhappy or saying, just think about T-Rex trying to make a bed. What? Really hope that picked that up.
Pets. So we all have a cat or a dog or a hamster or a rabbit, but is having a pet more trouble than it's worth? Because I used to have guinea pigs, and they didn't do much. They just ate lettuce and chat all the time.
Yeah.
and they just spent most of their time in a cage. They were very rarely let out. And I think, yeah. So, what's your take on pets, Chris?
It depends what pet you have, really. Like, for example, goldfishes, they have to be tended to very carefully because their lifespan is pretty small.
It's a couple of years. I've researched this because I'm thinking of getting goldfish.
Years.
But it's 2 years
But-
maximum sort for a goldfish.
But like I said, it just depends on which pet you have, really. Because, like for example, I have a dog. I have a German Shepherd, and we have to feed him quite constantly because he has bad health problems. Actually, because he had to go to the doctors a few times for many unconcerning reasons. But the thing is, having a pet is a huge responsibility, and if you're able to feed him and take him.
With the dog, yeah.
Emotional attachment.
You've got to feed it and watch and take it to the vet and everything.
Yeah.
Look after it. I've got to look after it.
It's a really huge responsibility though. I mean, me personally, I've always wanted a pug actually. And I think they're so cute, like really small faced dogs. But like I said, I have to look after him, and I don't know. I don't think I'm at that.
You don't have to be bothered.
I don't think I'm at that stage to look after a pet yet. So yeah.
Technically, like looking after a.
You know,
It's totally looking after a very stupid human.
It'd be no different to having a child.
Yeah, it's looking after. It's looking
Exactly.
after sort of very stupid human. Dogs are very smart. Just to
Yeah.
say, dogs fair enough, but cats.
Cats will go wherever they're fed.
Cats will go wherever they can. Exactly, and they'll probably feed
Cats will go
themselves.
wherever they're fed. That's why I get so many cats in my garden.
It's like our garden. We have a cat who terrorises our cats, and I mean terrorises, which is a pet peeve I have. Quite bad. It comes in and terrorises our cats constantly. I think I've sort of taken to knowing what to do when it comes in, and that's grab the hose. It must get a shower so often, just for the amount of times I've hosed it in the face.
I remember we had our first cat, and he was a ginger cat actually, and we called him Tasmania for some reason. Like the Tasmanian.
Taz, sort of like Taz thing, yeah.
So, but we used to call him the Tasmanian devil. I don't know why though.
Where that came from?
But it turns out he had rabies actually. This cat.
Ooh.
Cat, yeah. So we could not have him at all because we were scared about living with a cat with rabies.
Oh, hang on, was this a stray cat? Or did you get this cat?
It was a stray cat.
Oh, okay, right.
Yeah.
I was going to say, you just got a cat from someone and it just had rabies, just as you do, just casually from someone who's had, from a cat who's had kittens.
But no, it was a stray cat. So,
I mean, now as we've had, my family's had 4 cats, 1 dog. 2 cats at a time. The first 2 cats, one died of throat cancer, which is horrible for a cat, and one died of, well, just old age. And then the ones before that, one died of getting hit by a car. Our cats don't seem to be very lucky. Put it that way.
It's like my dog.
Our cats aren't very lucky.
My dog is 10 years old in August, and his lifespan is approximately 12 years. I think.
Yes, dogs are most likely around that sort of time.
So
Horses are quite long. I know my sister's horse is now at the age of something like 48. For a horse, that's really old.
For a dog, it may interest you to know that a dog at 8 years old is 56 in human years.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, horses at like 58 are very close to human years actually. Not too far off, I think. I think it's about 68, 70 in human years. So dogs' years are very fast. Fishes are ridiculous. You only have a fish for 2 years and it's dead already.
I would like a rabbit though.
Oh yes.
Who cannot?
Yes.
Who can't not love a rabbit?
I would love a tortoise.
Unless it's the rabbit in Monty
Python.
Yeah, the Holy Grail.
Yes.
That is the most dangerous rabbit ever. It's the most bad-tempered rabbit I've ever seen.
Brilliant. Oh, it's like I would love a tortoise.
Yes. Although the trouble with tortoises is you have to. My granddad had a tortoise once, and you had to literally gloss his back. Yeah, because just to make sure that you don't step on him. That's what he had. He glossed his back to make it all shiny, so that people would recognise that he's there. And you're not allowed to have them on their back for too long,
No.
because if they're on I don't know what happens when they're on their back, but it's when they're on the side.
Something bad.
Something bad happens.
Well,
Although, is a tortoise the one that can sort of curl up?
What is it? It's
Or is-
turtles
or-
and
or is-
tortoise.
yeah.
I know someone's got a tortoise, and I think they
A
curl
turtle is smaller, but a tortoise is like
Tortoise is about this big,
yeah.
this sort of size, and you can get
But
them. They
a
can just go.
turtle's smaller.
Yeah.
I think
About
it's
this
no. I think it's a tortoise.
big. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, turtles
Both
can. Turtles are the ones that go underwater, obviously.
Yeah,
Yeah.
turtles are the underwater ones, so they just swim. I mean, tortoises just go into the shell.
Yeah.
like snails.
Yeah. I know someone with 2 tortoises, and it must cost them a fortune in infrared lights,
Oh yeah.
because the ultraviolet lights are so hot.
It's the same with any lizard.
Yeah, they need heat.
Reptilian light.
A lot of heat.
Unless they're not, and they come from a tropical environment. That's why the rainforest is such a perfect environment for them. So
Humid.
henceforth, like areas on Earth which are of little interest to man, they would thrive on the heat. So it's very
Exactly.
useful.
There is a point in those areas. It's so they can live.
And yet people are chopping down rainforests.
And yet people are chopping
Arseholes.
their own stuff as like arseholes. Exactly. It's like someone could find a really rare colony of animals on the moon and then go build a base on top of it because they
Yeah.
couldn't care less because
Yeah.
it's habitable for something.
Yeah, but the moon's made of cheese.
They're probably going to find a massive colony of just super rats.
Or a fridge.
Or a fridge, just a fridge.
With arms.
Yeah.
And wants to go skiing.
No, I just realised the reference.
It's
Wallace and Gromit,
Yeah.
Grand Day Out.
I was watching that the other day.
I still have VHS. Wow.
Not mental.
VHS.
Yeah.
Jesus, Alex is getting very old now.
He's 94, I think.
And ill. Very ill.
It took 6 years to make that movie.
Did, but what a use of 6 years. Anyway, digressing.
Did you know Nick Park paid Peter Sellers £50 to do the Grand Day Out episode?
Mind you, that was when £50 was probably worth quite a bit more.
Yeah.
Right.
Crazy.
What's next, Megan?
It's the...
No, it's the cheerio bit now. Talked about everything.
Okay, right.
Oh, no. Right. Well, some very interesting discussions being made, but I'm afraid that's a wrap for another week. Oh no, that's rubbish. Got to do that again.
Fine.
Rubbish.
There's always screw-ups in videos and stuff.
It's a horribly overcast, yes it has.
I mean, my vlog the other day, I had a list, but I couldn't get the words out.
Don't know what part the song comes in though.
Okay. Terrible!
Interesting discussions being made, but I'm afraid it's time to wrap up this week. A massive thank you to my guests today, Chris Miles and Stewart Rice, and I'll be back next week with more interesting discussions on topics of interest. Until then, goodbye.
You eventually stop saying rhubarb.
Yeah.
And it always changes every time you say it, so it looks like you're having fun. I know you're actually going to be in shots. Wow. That's probably